Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre of Majestic Wire Artworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the Dream Weaver necklace, which features an infinity link that holds crystal. So it's really simple, but it's very dainty. I've got this enlarged quite a bit. It's very dainty. And I'm just going to downsize this to what I normally have my videos. And it just shows you how tiny it really is. So it's very delicate and pretty and simple. Not quite as simple to make. But anyways, I want to also show you what the supplies are. And here's for the screenshot right there. Okay, so you need 20 gauge wire. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 7 inches. One piece doesn't need to be quite 7 inches. Excuse me. 28 gauge wire. And you're going to need about 3 feet of that. I don't think I had 3 feet when I did mine, but you know, you could always give yourself 3.5 feet. You're going to need 1 rondelle, and you're going to need, oh, I forgot to write in the piece of 20 gauge wire, a 3-inch piece of 20 gauge wire to make your infinity link. So, sorry about that, but just add on there another 3 inches of 20 gauge wire. Okay, and you're going to need chain and clasp of your choice. And for tools, I recommend having a round nose plier, a chain nose plier, a flush cutter, a ruler, and you might need a file. And that's it for supplies. And I just wanted to talk about my membership for a little bit. What the membership are, it's not the subscription. It's not the same thing, which can be confusing, but it's a paid membership. And I have retired videos that you can access through a paid membership. And you could also have tips, my extra tip tutorials for the $1.99 a month membership. So what I recommend is the retired videos. I'm going to be going through the videos again shortly this month sometime, and I am retiring some more. So this is a cue for you guys that do not have your memberships. Some of those videos will be retiring. They should have been retiring a while ago, and I've been just kind of busy because it takes time to do all that. So anyways, let's move on to the next part of our video. Okay, so I want you to take a 3-inch piece of 20 gauge wire to make your first infinity link with the crystal. And I want you to take approximately about 1 inch, a little bit more than 1 inch, and give it a bend and make it at an angle, like something like that, maybe even a little bit more. And then I want you to take your 4mm rondelle crystal and put it on the shorter end. And now we're going to start the bend here with the tip of your pliers. Okay, so I'm thinking the best way to do this is to squish the bead over to this bend as much as possible, at the tip, very tip of your pliers there, and give it, this wire, a bend. And see, it didn't bend very nicely, so I'm going to try and fix that bend by I straightened that wire out there because it bowed out. But we've got the bend started. So I'm pushing, just because I don't have strength of my fingers, I'm using the plier to push against it. And hopefully then I get a more even look with my bends. You see how that helped? And now I'm gonna push this one over a little bit too, and it's gonna make it a little bit neater. Whoops. A little bit neater. And now I'm gonna take them closer to the stone. Don't want it too big. And I'm gonna, again, use the pliers to push that until you're happy with the look. You want it fairly even. You want the corners to look neat. I mean, you can't get it perfect, but that's pretty close. I'm just gonna round this one. Since I can't flatten that one, I'm gonna try rounding this one a little bit. See if that makes a difference. And if I can't, then I have to be happy with it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, now I want to maintain that shape. So I'm supporting it with my fingers. And I'm going to bend this around so that it's, so that it's sitting directly underneath. And it's not quite, so I'm just going to fix it like this to make it directly underneath. And then I'm going to crimp it down a little bit. See how it's, I want it tighter bend there. And I want to do it so I'm not going to mar the wire. And this is how you go about doing it. You don't want the edges of the pliers hitting the wire because that's what does the marring. So I'm going to put it in the middle like this. And then it won't mar it at all. And I'm just crimping it down basically. And now I'm going to trim that off right here. And bend it down. So that the wire touches itself. Okay, so like that. And now I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and we want to make the other half of the infinity link pretty much the same size as this, you know, dimension of this. And we have to take it, which it's going to be on my pliers about 3/4 of the way up, and I'm not going directly against here because we have a bit of length here, so I'm actually moving my pliers out a little bit because I can always tighten it in if I've gone too far out. Then I'm going to wrap it around. Okay, so you got to be the judge. So I think I wanted it a little bit smaller. And remember that we're going to try and make all, if you're making a set of earrings, or if you're making your pendant, or if you're making a matching necklace, the set of earrings is the most important to get the same size. A necklace can be a different size than the earrings, and it doesn't matter. And you're only making one. So if you're making the necklace, because this little clip is going to be in both of the videos for the necklace and the earrings. So I'm just going ahead and bending this like that. And it went directly underneath. If it wasn't, I would have done the exact same thing that I did for the other bend there. And I'm gonna snip it at this point because it's not too bad, and I can crimp it down later. Okay, so I'm gonna do both at the same time. Now, if I made it too long, I'd snip it back because you don't want it too long either, because you don't want anything catching. And there, that's done. So now you need to make as many as you need for whichever project you're doing, whether it's an earring and necklace set, then you need 3. If it's just earrings, just 2. And if it's just your necklace, then just 1. So it's always good to make them at the same time. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do the woven bar portion of this necklace. So you've got 2 pieces of 20 gauge wire, and we're going to start with just using 1, and we're going to start with the loop on the middle. So find approximately the middle, and seriously, approximately, and make the size of loop that you think would look good holding holding your infinity link. Okay, I'm gonna try a smaller, I'm like 1/4 or 1/3 up my on my shank of my round nose pliers. How does that sound? Okay, and so that's what I've got. And now I'm going to, it's got an opening. I'm going to take advantage of that opening, and I'm going to put on my link. Now I'm going to close that up and give it a twist. So I need my chain nose pliers. There, I misplaced them. And so carefully close that up. And now I'm twisting it because we want the loop to be perpendicular to the wire itself. And now I am going to squeeze that wire together as tight as I can, and it will, well, no, I shouldn't say as tight as you can because everybody's got different strengths, but I want to try and flatten that wire because we're going to do weaving over top, and we're going to try and make that into 1 basically. So we want to have it lay as flat as possible to make the weaving as neat as possible. So I'm going like this. Okay, I think that's good. And we'll adjust this wire. I mean the loop wire. Sorry, my phone just gave me a message, so I had to quickly check it out. My battery was running low, so I had to turn on my battery charger. Okay, there we go. I think that's good. Let's hope that's good enough to keep the weaving nice and neat. Okay, so then the next step, because this shortened this wire, the loop, if you're worried about where to start the weave with the other wire because it's going to be longer, you could just snip it off, and really it's about 1/2 inch. So if you wanted, instead of having 2 7-piece lengths, you could have 1 6.5 inch, especially if you're using sterling silver, and we will be cutting more of it off later. So just for measurement's sake, it's easier to have them the same and to work with them. Okay, so you're also going to need approximately 2 feet of 28 gauge wire, and like I said, I'm just doing approximate because we're going to weave approximately 1/2 inch on each side of the loop to make the bar. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of working space and do it about 1 inch to the left of the center of that wire, and we're going to lasso it in this time. So I'm just going to wrap once around that wire, cinch it up, and then, and this is going to move on us, but we'll have to straighten it out later. And we're working around this. This is going to be a pain to work around, but we will manage. Okay, so now I've lassoed that in. I've got the two together, and it's coming up through the top of the two wires. Now I'm going to wrap around. This is a 3/4 weave. Both wires, whoops, sorry. And then up, and now down between the two wires. So we're always going between the two wires, up and down, alternating. So now I'm going up through the top, over top of the two wires, down and up through the two wires. Now it's so much easier working with 20 gauge wire here instead of the 22 that we did for the earrings. It's way more durable. We can tug a little bit more, cinch it up easier that way. Okay, so there we go. That's started. There's two, I have 2 patterns done. And from here on, we can just, you can do 3, 4, up to 5 patterns before you cinch it up, usually. But at first, I like to do 3 because I want it to be nice and neat, and it's always messier at the beginning. Once you get the technique, pattern down, and it's stronger. I actually only did 2 that time. Then you can go longer between cinching it up. Anyway, so we're going to do 1/2 inch of weaving and come back. So I want you to do yours as well, okay? So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I've gone approximately 1/2 inch. And right now I am up through the top, between my wires, coming up between the top to the wires, between the wires, there we go. Now I'm going under, and I want to finish off wrapping around the top wire. And now I want to do 3 wraps. So it's going to show like 4, but it's only 3. 2, 3. Well, it is 4 if you count the end of the weave. And I'm going to cinch that up. And now I'm going to slide this wire till that loop touches this weaving here. So I'm not pulling on the other wire. I'm only pulling on the wire with the loop. And it slid fairly easy. And now I'm going to weave 1/2 inch on this side. Okay, so because I'm down between the 2 wires, I'm coming up and around and wrapping the 2 wires and then coming up between the 2 wires and continuing the weave. And I'm going to cinch that up right there because it's spread out so far. And you have to make sure that your loop is sitting right. If it wasn't, you would have needed to twist it in place. Okay, and I'm going to continue the weave. Now I hope I gave myself enough wire. I seem to be running out of low on wire. So, of course I didn't measure, did I? Wouldn't hurt to have more wire. Always good to practice with copper before you use silver, because this can be a little bit more challenging than some of my other projects. Cinch it up. I should have cinched it up sooner. It's not sliding very well. There, I think I got it. There we go. Okay. See how long I am. So I'm at 3/8 of an inch, touch more than 3/8 of an inch. And I've got like 3 inches of wire, which is hard to work with. So if instead of doing this all over again, because I'm so close, I might undo some wire on the other side to make it matching. That's always a cheat a person can do. And I'm fighting with it. I just wanted you to see what a person does. And my nail's ripping. If they make a type of mistake, let's see how far we are. Oh, we're so close. We're gonna make it. I think I can get, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I really do. Push it in. Let's see where we're at. And we made it, yay! Okay, so now you just want to make sure everything's sitting right. I'm very gently leveling this out. I'm not squeezing hard. I don't want to mar any wires. You can use your nylon pliers for that. And that part's done. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is to trim off the ends and crimp it down. And you pull it up, trim it right as close as you can, crimp it down. Okay, make sure your weaving looks good. Make sure it's flat and straight. Mine, I lucked out. Mine's pretty good. is stretching out, so I'm cinching it back up. Now I want you to, before we forget, let's get out our chain. Now I'm using, because this is about 1 inch and the clasp is about 1 inch, I'm not going to put the clasp on quite yet. I'm just putting the chain right onto it. I'm giving myself enough to make a 20-inch, approximately a 20-inch necklace, because some of my customers like that length, or most of my customers like that length, but you can always shorten it, right? So I've got 18 inches of chain ready to go, and so get yours ready to go. And then I've been asked about what kind of chain this is. I bought this chain so long ago. I bought $100 worth of chain, and I don't have a lot left, but this was totally bulging full when I bought it. So that's a long time ago. And what this is, I was measuring it. The links are about 2 millimeters, and I think they're 2 millimeters wide and maybe a smidge longer. So the 20 gauge wire fits right through it, which is very important. You don't want to get smaller than that. And this is soldered together links. It's copper plated brass. It's extremely strong, considered very high quality for a copper wire. That's what I usually like to work with. Sometimes we don't have the luxury of getting that type of chain. So anyways, let's move on. So got the weave cinched up. Now I'm holding this just to hold it in place because I don't want it to bend. And I'm just, the bottom wire, I'm bending. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to go like this. I'm holding the necklace upside down. The bottom wire, I'm moving to the top. And I'm leaving this one straight. There we go. Oh, actually, that didn't work too bad. But you got to make sure you're not twisting your weave, which I did a bit, and I had to fix that. Okay, and I want that nice. And now I really need to hold this in place, and I'm wrapping it around once. So it looks like a wrap. So I just once around, I'm going to snip that and crimp it in. This is what I mean. This wire could have been shorter, because I snipped it like that, and now I'm going to crimp. Maybe it should have been a tiny bit shorter. I'm going to do it a tiny bit shorter and crimp it in. And I'm doing it so it doesn't mar the wire, because I'm not putting any edges to it. And I'm just making it close up. So that it has a nice, neat look to it. Got to make sure that weave is flat. You could use your plastic or nylon pliers to do that too. Okay, so now I'm going to bend this like that, and I'm going to make a nice delicate loop. And we're going to put our chain on it, so we don't want to close it right away. Okay, so that loops like that. And I'm going to slide my chain onto it. There. And now I'm going to hold that loop with my chain nose pliers and wrap around once. And snip it and crimp it. So it's just simply done. Gotta crimp it in so there's no sharp edges. If you do have a sharp edge, you will want to take a file and file it. We have to be careful not to scratch too much. There, that's all it took. Mine wasn't too bad. So that's what it looks like. Ended up getting pen on my finger when I was writing my notes. Okay, so that one's done. Chains on. This is a very simple bail bar, if you want to call it that. But it looks simple, but it's actually quite a little on the challenging side to make. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to lift the bottom wire up. And I don't need the pliers. I found out I don't need the pliers for this part. The fingers is good enough. Now, when I try to wrap around is when I need the pliers. Just to stabilize that. Wrap it around. Snip and crimp. Keep hitting the phone, I'm sorry. Snip. I'm going to bend it closer. Crimp it in. Check my weave, make sure it's sitting level. Okay, and now I'm going to bend this up. Make the loop. Make sure it's the same size as the other one. And then before I close it up, I got to put the other end of the chain on it. Now remember, I will be cutting that chain in the center to put on the clasp. Okay, got that done. Hold that loop still, do the wrap, and snip it off. Now the reason I did this wrap like this, it's different, I know, than normal, is because the pendant bar is so tiny that we don't want it to be a huge wrap. You want it delicate looking too. Okay, so my weave has warped a tiny bit, so now I'm going to make little adjustments. And see, it bent up on its own. I didn't even do that on purpose from the way we did it, but now we are going to give it a bend, give it a V look, straighten it out as best we can to make it look neat. And it's not, it's a very simple, tiny necklace, really. When you measure it, it's about 1 1/4 inches wide, and the length I would think would be similar. Oh, it's about 1 1/8 maybe. Sorry, I was out of the screen there. But 1 1/8 inch. But it has a very elegant look. I'll just Well, I'm sure you saw it in the beginning. So there we go. It's got an elegant look. Now you want to make sure that your link sits straight. Mind you, when it's on somebody's neck, it's not going to matter. It's going to have movement. It's not like an earring. And it's going to move around. And depending what stone you use, you could use, it doesn't have to be a crystal. You could use a, matter of fact, I do. I have some aquamarine gemstone in the same shape. You can get those tiny gemstones, but you got to make sure that they fit on a 20 gauge wire. Gemstones are more difficult to fit on a 20 gauge wire. And, you know, if you really needed to, you could use a 22 gauge wire for the infinity link as well. So anyways, there it is. Thank you for joining me in this video. Please look into my retired videos if you want to join a membership. That's the $4.99 a month membership, and I would appreciate all the support you can give me. Thank you. God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.